where people are rotting in these detention centers, waiting for their cases to be heard.
Es un maltrato para nosotros, moralmente, físicamente, psicológicamente.
La parte más dura y más triste de cuando nos venimos es para nosotros, que nos venimos y lo dejamos ahí todavía.
On any given day in this desolate region 60 miles outside of Phoenix, you can find thousands of immigrants behind bars. Some have been locked up for years, waiting for a court hearing, trapped in a broken and backlogged American immigration system. For the past 2 years, Adela's husband Sergio has been held at Eloy Detention Center. Today, she invited me to join her and her 2 teenage sons on a visit. How have you felt these past 2 years without him?
Yo me siento muy mal porque pues siempre ha estado con nosotros. Él es un esposo muy responsable, muy buen esposo, muy buen padre. Igual él dice, pues ustedes son mi medicina, ustedes son la fuerza para seguir adelante porque pues yo nomás estoy esperando, dice, el fin de semana porque sé que van a venir a verme.
Sergio was pulled over in 2015 by narcotics agents who accused him of having drugs. They didn't find any, but they did discover that he had re-entered the U.S. illegally after being deported years ago. Did you ever expect that you'd be in this situation where your husband's in detention and you have to drive an hour to see him every couple weeks?
Pues uno siempre piensa que va a pasar esto porque, pues en primer lugar, por ser indocumentados, ¿no? Que cualquier momento te puedan parar, te puedan deportar. Sí, ese es el temor de cada uno de nosotros, los mexicanos, ¿no?
Most immigrants in detention are there for minor nonviolent crimes, including falsifying documents to work. Detention is temporary, but immigration courts have a backlog of over 500,000 cases, and that means people like Sergio can be stuck there with no end in sight. Our cameras weren't allowed inside Eloy, but the 4 hours I spent in there made one thing clear. Detention feels very much like prison. It was really emotional experience. I can't imagine going every week. Basically, you go into this room with about 10 or so tables, and the minute Adele and her husband saw each other, there was this big family hug. Some people were crying, other people were kissing their wives, and kids were clinging onto their dads that they were just seeing. They spread out the snacks that they'd gotten from the vending machine onto the table on foil, things like microwavable mini pizzas and various chips. Adela was sitting across from her husband, and the entire time they were holding hands for the whole hour. And her son was sitting next to his dad and hugging him. It was beautiful and also heartbreaking to see this family that's been separated come together for just 1 hour. And you could tell how much that hour meant to all of them, you know. Immigrant detention can not only be heartbreaking, but also debilitating. Eloy is run by the private for-profit company CoreCivic, formerly known as CCA. The detention center has come under fire for spoiled food, poor health care, and the highest number of detainee deaths in the country. Rigo spent over a year in Eloy, and he's still haunted by the experience.
Tenía mi próstata inflamada, 5 meses no me atendieron, hasta que llegó el término de que no podía salir a orinar, hasta que me operaron. Cada que voy al baño que no puedo orinar así, me acuerdo de Eloy.
Something else he'll never forget is the death of his fellow detainee, José de Jesus.
Le deprimió mucho, él quería ver a sus hijos, quería que les daba el número del abogado para que le hablaran los guardias al abogado, lo ignoraron. Oye, cuando dijeron, lockout, no miramos y los guardias entraron a la celda donde estaba él. Como a los 5 minutos, 7 minutos llegaron los paramédicos, y ya cuando llegaron ya estaba muerto.
José's death was ruled a suicide, the 5th to take place in Eloy in a decade. A total of 15 immigrants have died there since 2003. We reached out to CoreCivic for comment, but received no response. Undocumented immigrants don't have the right to an attorney, but they can contract one, although many are unable to.
Just to give you an idea, there are close to 3,000 people in detention between Florence and Eloy on any given day, and there are only about 7 attorneys here at the Florence Project. So it's a huge discrepancy. So the reality is we're not able to represent the majority of people.
Would you say that if more people in detention had access to a lawyer, less people would be deported ultimately?
Yes. The number is something along the lines of 97% of folks that go through removal proceedings that don't have an attorney wind up losing their cases.
Every year, thousands of immigrants like Adela's husband Sergio are convicted of illegally re-entering the U.S. after being deported. Sergio plans to represent himself when he gets his day in court.